Holy hurt feelings, Batman. That was one hell of a clash. I pretty much thought that this thing was just going to be a single file train the entire time, and maybe we would get a crash at the very end. This thing would end, and everyone would be bored and, complain to NASCAR to get rid of the clash. And for about the first 65 laps, that's exactly what it was. But then all hell broke loose. I mean, all hell broke loose. And it was fun as hell. I gotta say, I thought it was a fun race, other than the first, 65 laps. Like I said, I fell asleep for pretty much the entirety of the first 65 laps and didn't wake up until Kyle Busch was getting wrecked by Joey throwing a bunch of horrible blocks, which, by the way, I'm not really that mad about, because it's the Clash. It doesn't matter. Who cares if you throw a bunch of bad blocks? The whole point is to win the thing. That doesn't matter anyways. It's just an exhibition race. You don't need to worry about points. You're not trying to help teammates. You're not trying to do anything. It's just a stupid race to have fun. So yeah, the first 65 laps, totally unwatchable. They need to trim this race down to just 10 laps. I saw some people saying go back to the old style of 20 laps where you would take a break in between, flip the field, all that kind of stuff. I really don't see the point in doing that. I think 10 laps would be more than enough, especially because we would probably end up with a bunch of wrecks just like this. We would go to NASCAR overtime multiple times, and we'd probably end up with about 20 laps by the end of that anyways. So I'd be perfectly fine with 10, maybe even 15 laps if they felt that that was necessary, but I think 20 would be a little much. And even if they did do 20, there's no reason to split it down the middle. I think all of that stupid, flipping people back and forth, wish-washy crap, who cares? Just throw them out on the track, let them do this, and be done with it. So the final 10 laps, Joey Logano throws a hideous block on Kyle Busch, and that takes out him, Kyle, and then Brad Keselowski just happened to be coming on the outside, and so then he got impacted as well. And boy, was he sour about it. I like Brad Keselowski, actually. I've got a huge wall of Kyle Busch diecast, but you can't even see it off camera. I've got a whole bunch of Brad Keselowskis as well, so I actually don't mind him, even though I know that those two guys hate each other. But yeah, he was all sour about it, and I know why. In the actual Daytona 500, in the actual Coke 400 and various other plate tracks, he has seen time and time again, mostly his teammate Joey Logano, although I don't know that he'll admit that, throwing these hideous blocks all the time, all over the place. Mostly him and Recchi are the two that like to just throw these disgusting blocks constantly. And he's pretty tired of it because he's always right there at the front. He's got a great race car. He has a real chance at winning. He leads a bunch of laps, and then someone stupid gets in front, and there's no way for him to regain the lead because he's already wrecked. So I do understand him being frustrated in that way. And, as a driver, I'm sure that this is a lot less fun than it is for the fans. That being said, oh boy, was there a lot of sour grapes on Twitter about this one, huh? We had people like NASCAR Twitter's resident poopy pants, David Land, who is just writhing in pain over this thing, calling it a black eye on the sport, and all that kind of fun stuff. He's currently working on a video himself, and I'm sure he'll go on with his Puma hat and whine and cry about how it's not Formula One, where nobody does anything and it's just single file, which is real racing. But for a few of us, we actually enjoyed it because it's an exhibition race and it doesn't matter. Who cares? I don't understand how this is a black eye on the sport. And, sure, it was a shit show because there's a bunch of torn up cars and stuff like that. But, everyone was complaining before this about how it was boring and it was single file and what do we do to fix it? Should we just get rid of the Clash? All this kind of stuff, whatever. And, you start tearing up some sheet metal and all of a sudden everyone and their mother's got an opinion and oh my goodness, I love it, I hate it, it's this person's fault, and it creates chaos, which I think is good for the sport, because when it's single file and nothing's happening, there's nothing to talk about, and a lot of people are just saying to get rid of it, which is less racing. And we even get really cool moments, like Denny Hamlin, for some reason, was a few laps down, and since he was a lap down by the time that the final restart began, he pushed Eric Jones to the front and won the race. Well, Eric Jones won the race, not Denny Hamlin. But that was pretty cool. It was a neat moment. You get your teammate, who's clearly got no chance to win this thing anyways, pushes you to the front. Why not? Who cares? and it was just fun. It was just a fun race, and Eric Jones was very excited to win it. Like I said though, make this thing just 10 laps, you know? They'll just skip the train and go right to the carnage. Everyone wants to know why they're in a train. Well, it's because they know there's going to be carnage in the last 10 laps, so why even bother with the first 65? And you can just ride around single file, and then they fan out inevitably, and then chaos ensues. There's really no point in having this ridiculously long exhibition race with basically nothing on the line except money, and they didn't even say on television how much money the winner even receives. There's basically nothing they're fighting for. It's just for fun. It's just for fun. NASCAR is supposed to be a fun thing, and it kind of seems like everyone is just on pins and needles, constantly afraid, you know, because the sport is dying and it's the end of the world and all that kind of stuff. And so anytime anything happens, it's always about, well, how's this going to affect the future? Are people going to stop watching? Are new people going to think this is stupid? Oh my God, how do we spin this? And everyone just loses their minds, and you need to relax, okay? Just take a deep breath, deep breath. I don't know. I just feel like with these exhibition races, they just exist. It is what it is. Who cares? Why get so upset about it? And honestly, I think it would be a lot more fun if they did this as maybe sort of a dirt race, or maybe even different cars than what they actually drive throughout the season. I think it'd be fun to go back to other eras, but obviously build them with the safety features of the current cars so that, you know, no one gets killed or anything like that driving an old 70s car or whatever. Or hell, I don't know, just something that they could creatively do to make it more interesting. I think it would be a really good idea to not have the cars in exhibition races be anything like the cars that they would race on the following weekend or any subsequent weekend, because otherwise they end up using it as like a mini practice session. And that's why we end up with the single file train. That's why we end up with guys not taking big risks, because they want to know what the closing rates are. They want to know all of this data and all these things that they can use later on for either the shootouts or for the Daytona 500 itself. So if you eliminate that, they have absolutely nothing on the line. They have no useful information that they can gain from the race in the first place, and so it's just fun. Anyways, that's all I got. The Busch Clash was fun. That's what it was. It was fun. Entirely too long. It needed to be cut down by about 75%. But once I woke up from my nap, it just was fun. It was silly. It was cars beating and banging, guys trying to win the thing. Chase Elliott doing exactly what I predicted and being the man out there on a mission to just win and have fun. He was throwing all sorts of crazy runs at people and just slamming into the back of cars, and he didn't care if he turned them or what he did, because he was going to go through you so that he could get to the lead, and I loved it. Chase Elliott was the hero of this race, and it was fantastic. How weird is it that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won the pole, huh? Everyone was expecting the fix to be in with Jimmy Johnson, but lo and behold, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is at the front of this thing. So yeah, unless he does something really stupid during one of the duels, which I suspect he won't, we're going to start off with him at the beginning, or at the front of the pack in the Daytona 500, and that could be disastrous. Anyways, have a good week, you guys, and it is so good to be back. Love to see cars on track. Daytona, baby.